Hope you enjoyed X1. This is Solomon. I was getting my latest review on God Eater episode 6. Oh, wow. This whole, even though it's been a week, like we got a break last week, I guess it's them just trying to step up their game since God Eater has been, such a huge underground. Um, anyway, hey, this is us dealing with the aftermath of having to deal aftermath of what happened after the mission failed. uh, failed. Elisa and Linka, they're trying to survive after they fell to that black origami, that black Voltron, basically. And Elisa, like, she knows that black woman. She calls it Petra. She calls it Petra. I don't know what. Alright, but you get more into the story. I'll get into that in a minute. They tried to survive. Uh, survive together. And Linka, having his god art destroyed, his only weapon that's useful against the origami is now damaged. Elisa's the only one who can use hers, yet things don't go as well for them as they thought. It doesn't go too well for them. They're in where you they're in the hazardous zone, dealing with that black origami. Not to mention running for their lives, surviving, knowing that there are other origami after them, and these other creatures. It's basically like a need to survive. Now that they confronted a new enemy, it completely decimated them, and now they have to fend for themselves in a harsh environment. And I gotta admit, I like this episode because we get to see more from how the character develop, how they try to survive in such a harsher environment. I mean, they're trained to fight these creatures. They're also supposed to be trained for the worst case scenario, for things that can happen if they get bad. And also, knowing that they're on their own is gonna be extra hard for them. And Linka, he's wounded. He's wounded very badly, bleeding from his chest. Fortunately, Elisa knows how to patch him up. She's good when it comes to. If she says she knows how to patch up wounds, then she must have. She knows how to work. She knows how to use, like, especially knowing that she has to take a medication. But I'll get into this situation now. Now, Elisa, she remembers that black origami. Remember that it was the same thing that killed her parents. I'm like, Alicia, I thought that Alicia, she was driven by something very unique, like some kind of drive, like to help her, the reason why she fights against the origami so, like, it's obvious. She'd been through something bad happened to her in the past, just like it did to Lenka. And for her, it was the death of her parents. I wonder if Lenka went through the same thing, because even though he wants to destroy the origami, we haven't gotten no reason why he wants to do so, even though we're 6 episodes in. 6. And there's no explanation. But I bet you they're probably saving that to, like, later to the series, maybe close to the end, we can find out why Lenka hates them so. So, um, anyway, even though Lisa, she's basically, Lisa tries to struggle with herself. She's always been so composed, so level-headed when it comes to her and fighting. But knowing that she saw this black origami, the same monster that took her in fact, that probably had that the reason why Elisa survived. So she was playing a game as a kid called hide and seek. Parents went to look for her, but with the origami came out of nowhere, where it killed her parents. And seeing that this origami, hey, looking at her, this black origami, this black Vajra, it displays intelligence. It's far more than any other origami. I mean, hell, we know that the origami have the ability to evolve because of the power of their oracle cells, being mutated creatures, that came out of nowhere, but because of a lab accident. But this thing, I think it knew that Elisa was there. It knew that she was hiding in closet, even though she was just a child at the time. Right? It knew, and it spared her life. Like, that decision came back to haunt him later. Haunt other origami either, because she became a god eater and chose to vanquish all origami from the face of the earth, for revenge. But knowing that knowing that these things are bringing back such harsh memories, she's taking this medication, and her medication is very low. She was down to one pill. I think that medication is like a mood suppressor, like suppress her mood to make sure that she doesn't, she doesn't freak out or anything. I mean, think about it. Her parents died right in front of her, and she couldn't do nothing about it. If you were a child, what would you? I mean, hell, most badass animes, the main protagonists, they're driven by something, and like something that keep them nonchalant, that hardens their emotions. I think for Elisa, this emotion was the loss of her parents. She couldn't feel any. She couldn't. That's why she was a bit harsh and straight on the mission. She wants to destroy all Argyle to make sure that nothing bad like that happened to her. After what happened, I think she can hardly feel anything. That's why she's so focused on the mission. She wants to destroy them all. So one day she could face her adversary again, this black Aragami, this Vajra again. And the way creepy it is. Anyway, Link, even though his god art is cracked, he's still willing to fight. He wants to make sure that Lisa survives. It's obvious to him that he doesn't want to see people die. I mean, we saw in a few episodes back, he rescued a few stragglers, some refugees. He brought them to the compound. He thought they were safe, but because they didn't have authorized clearance, they weren't allowed to go in. And instead, the guards just tossed them aside. They basically left them out in the harsh world to die, basically die. And Lenka, he was very pissed off about that because he's obviously that he wants to help people. That's one of the reasons why he became a god eater, to destroy the Arigamis, to destroy and to make sure people don't have to suffer anymore. Even though that's just one of the reasons. He even saved Elisa's life when she drowned in the river and lost her god art, her sword, her weapon. He saved her. I think that they could, even though those two were a bit, a bit, didn't start off friends, but I think at some point they'll possibly try to understand each other. Eventually they'll get, and that will lead more into their character development. And I want to see that. I want to see that. I want to see them open up to each other. I want to see Elisa tell Lenka that she lost her parents to Aragamis, and I want to know about more of Lenka's past. Yeah. Also, we get some pass into those three scientists, one of them being Johannes, the leader of Fenrir, the same people who created Oracle cells, and the God Eaters, basically. Leaders, basically. They're responsible for their experiments when it came to them and Oracle cells, basically protected their research. And but but Johannes, he filed a report, and his friends were looked into his computer offices looking at the report. Even though he filed the report, he didn't tell them. He didn't tell them that how dangerous the work and the process would be. So basically he kept a secret for them. And it's obviously that the female scientist in the flashback, she cares about but Johannes, he looks like he's regretting his decision, knowing that what he did, it may have cost a lot of people their lives. Like, we all know how the future, and these people are just in the past. This means that a lot worse is yet to come, especially for Johannes, knowing that we're getting flashback into the Greek scientist's past, knowing how badly it is. It seems that Johannes, it may go through, what Johannes is going through now, the grief that he's feeling, some of the sadness and regret from his research. It looks like it's gonna get a lot worse for him than we thought. Like, it's gonna be a lot more. It's gonna be a lot harder, and they're probably gonna do that in a future episode. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. Despite Johannes' decision and his regret, it's that obviously that he's a decent human being. He just don't know what to do. And I like this one mostly because it was about Lenka and Elisa's trial to survive, how they tried to survive, knowing that their mission was a complete failure. They couldn't get rid of all their enemies. They are now out. Imagine if two teenagers were trying to solve a problem, and they're left to fend, and the problem didn't get solved. At first, they were trying to solve it with two other people, and they couldn't solve it. and and their mission failed. Now they're left to fend on their own with all kinds of things that could come after them and kill them. It's it's a pretty griming episode, but it's one that will get you. If you want to see these people go through, and I suggest you watch this. Hope you're day. Thanks for the conscribe. Thank you. This is Sullivan Adams giving a latest review on God Eater episode 6. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for my favorite. Survival of the fittest, baby. Survival of the fittest. Hope you enjoy. Bye.